on this kind of setup, and it's kind of what we do expect a decent amount of for the Horizon defense. Certainly a number of teams have done it, Nova being one of them. In our last match, neither team wanted to run this, so there's a lot of options, and one of the ways Nova does need to win is if they do have a good composition that can counter Cyclone coupling, they need to win with that because it's something they haven't been able to do so far. And for CYC now, do they want to stick onto the Pharah, or when they see the Bastion, are they going to change onto something else?
I mean, ultimately it might actually be the Hanzo they want to stick with here. You can put down a lot of pressure with the Storm arrows if you do get some good picks, some good damage, and if you can charge up a Dragon Strike as well. Really hampers where that Bastion can be.
And the difficulty is getting that Dragon Strike because you're not doing a lot of damage if the shield is up, and the shield uptime is going to be high for Nova. So for Cyclone coupling, it's about trying to break through this defensive line with a lot of damage. However, they're not getting positioning. They're not getting on the point.
And this is Bubakar already charging up a long way away towards that tank ultimate. So Cyclone coupling, they're actually coming close to a rocket barrage, but Jackie's taking some pain. Needs to be careful here. They're committing, and it's just shy of that tank mode. Yang Yang's already dead, but they find Bubakar. That's huge. That's what they need. And they can actually res Yang Yang as well. Red Fox has that opportunity potentially. Need to get a few more kills. There's going to be the res in. Red Fox puts his neck on the line, but survives. Eternal's mech does get lost in the mix. Still waiting on that barrage.
Seeing if this Molten Core does come through as well. Craziest with a nice pick onto Jackie.
There's the Molten Core down on the point, but that's not really where Cyclone coupling are. It does at least stop that little frontal approach, but honestly, the damage has already been done with Jackie dead.
The other thing is, Bubakar comes back onto the Soldier, and so they lose the tank form ultimate there. Not quite the same impact as the Bastion. Cyclone coupling should feel like they have the ability now to just get on top of that point, especially now with the turret down. This is a window of opportunity.
Yeah, and a full reset as well. Cyclone coupling at strength. Eternal got back in the make. There's going to be a Dragon Strike raking across to force Nova's positioning, and this is what Cyclone want to try to take advantage of. Nice timing on the self-destruct from Crazy S to stop Cyclone committing on that, but still Bubakar gets picked around the side by Ellis. Longo Drum is destroyed. No more supercharger down. Jackie, oh, a bit too close to the ground, gets stunned, but survives. Still waiting for that rocket barrage, has yet to find the opportune time, dies again, but Yang Yang's able to do some work on the front line.
So far, it's pretty even trades on both sides. Cyclone coupling may be coming out ahead right now, and with the spawn advantage as well. Nova don't quite have the members, but caught out again. This time, though, needs to find a kill.
Look at that, Red Fox barely got out alive, Yang Yang barely got out alive, Ellis barely got out alive, and each and every time, the rest of Cyclone coupling are finding kills. This feels absolutely criminal, how low some of these members are getting, and at the end of the day, Nova MS not quite ever finishing those kills while Cyclone coupling continued to get them results in a cap.
It's got to be small margins that changes the game pace right now for Nova on this defense for B. Changing up to the 3-3 coach. No ultimates to speak of so far. Looking at Craziest to get the self-destruct, but also looking at Jackie for a rocket barrage.
They throw out that Dragon Strike. Doesn't get a whole lot done, unfortunately. Nice pick on Oyo, though. Now Jackie still just, he's at this rocket barrage for a good long while. Has yet to throw it out. Has yet to have a good opportunity, mind you. That's a stun on Yang Yang. Oh, they're just barely keeping everyone topped off. Self-destruct from Crazy S could be high impact, though.
That's the only ultimate that Nova MS had, and still they're losing members.
There it is! Oh, well, it's a 1-for-1, and he got one, funnily enough. But that's still going to be Cyclone coupling, getting a massive gamut of kills. Res onto Jackie anyway, so they're at a full 6, while Nova, they got nothing but nothing on this point.
And that's going to be it. There's not going to be a lot left. Nova going to try and come through with a few more members. Try and stall this one through, but they need to get some kills.
Oh, too slow. And didn't respect the concussive blast out from Jackie to stop them from getting the direct path. There is a world where they made the correct decision by waiting for respawns, but really Nexus probably should have just touched. Don't run the risk. Give yourself the guaranteed opportunity.
And this is just another clear example of Cyclone coupling being this quintessential team of make it work. They have a pharmacy combo going into point B, something you don't see a lot of teams will just bite the bullet there, change up compositions, do something a little bit more standard. But Cyclone coupling now, over the course of an entire season that we've seen them before, and right now in this match, just playing the standard is not their MO. That's not how they operate here. And so far, in this particular match, against the runner-ups of last season, against the team that beat them in the semi-finals, Cyclone coupling are definitely ahead, are definitely showing that they can play to the beat of their own drum and continue winning with it.
Well, now they're the beat of their own drum. It's like some kind of weird off-kilter polyrhythm. going to be pulling out the Bastion of their own on the defense with the Torbjorn.
I want to note here that the Bastion getting killed on the Nova MS side, Bubakar losing that very quickly, kind of led to the downfall of A rather soon as well. He came back as a soldier, was quite pressured into getting back to the point quickly because they didn't want to lose A, but then didn't have the staying power of the Bastion. So for the rest of the A defense for Nova, it never worked out for them because the entire comp is built around keeping a Bastion alive, snowballing with the Bastion ultimate. Never really happened. For Cyclone Coupling, can they keep Ellis alive? That's going to be the big question. If they can answer that, if they can keep Ellis up, they're going to be able to defend.
Alrighty. What's the go here, Nova? This is just for scouting. Decided they want to stick with the Hanzo, and they're going to do the same, or almost the same as what Cyclone did.
Yeah, double main tank here, Nexus on Wrecking Ball, Craziest on the Winston as well, trying to make this one work. And a lot of Nova here is finding their new identity as a team. Can they really do what Cyclone Coupling do and just really force a square peg into a round hole? Because so far, Cyclone Coupling have been winning handedly using that method.
Ooh, Jackie. Barely able to stay alive with the armor pack. That does ignore the anti-heal of the biotic grenade, but not enough to keep him alive in the long term. He does eventually drop to Nexus, and Ellis has had very little uptime in that turret form. He's able to get back into it in time to kill one, though, so even though Jackie loses the turrets, the numbers advantage is there for Cyclone Coupling, and Jackie doesn't want to come back on Torbjorn anyway.
With Jervis going down, this push should be all but over. Bubakar might just get a couple of picks on the end. But for Nova, they need to be able to reset here. Jackie's going to come back as a Widowmaker, which is going to force one to probably swap off, put a lot of pressure onto Bubakar as well. But as long as Ellis is alive and Tank Force coming up online, Cyclone Coupling are definitely not going to budge from this point.
And take notes, by the way. Ellis is really taking advantage of the fact that Bastion's primary fire is actually decent in terms of damage in itself, and it's allowed him to stay mobile while charging up the ultimate, which he now deploys. Unfortunately finds himself face to face with a nano boosted Winston. Jackie gets picked up as well, and suddenly that tank ultimate has completely run out. Cyclone are no better off for it.
Massive trade there. No, oh wow, this is huge though. Eternal with the double.
Hey, there it is. That's a 2 for none. Ellis does get put to sleep for a brief moment, but he's going to wake up from his nap refreshed and reinvigorated as Bubakar trying to wrap around the side, not going to find anything for his trouble.
I was going to say, Nova had the lead there. They traded a nano boost for a tank bomb. That's a very positive trade. Ellis now taking down Bubakar as well. It's all turning so sour for Nova, who still do not find any legs on the point, not a single tech, more than 2 minutes gone now. And for CYC, fully resetting that defense, getting Ellis back into prime position, we're back to square one.
Back into situation normal, and this time it's with Jackie on the Widowmaker, which can put a lot more pressure onto One and Bubakar. As much as One has that rocket barrage, it's going to be hard for him to close right now to actually use it.
The Supercharger's still up and available as well. It's going to do a lot of damage in combination with the Bastion from Ellis. And for Nova MS now have some ultimates available. In fact, have a lot of ultimates soon to be available.
Trying to get that Dragon Strike. There we go. One does still find a way in thanks to the Nano Boost, but they don't get onto Ellis, and he answers back. He's going to take a bit too much kill. Dragon to the face, though. And that is huge. No res available. Actually, sorry, that is a... no, it is not a lie. I'm telling the God-given truth there. No res is available for Cyclone Coupling.
And this is a dire moment for CYC because they need to regroup quickly. They need to get Ellis back into action. Jackie's trying to hold down the fort here, had a headshot earlier, needs to find a little bit more right now, and CYC need to stay alive as a group.
Eternal without the mech as well, it's going to be really hard for them to play Minesweeper, and that's to say nothing of all the other chaos on the point, like that Primal Raging Winston.
Ellis is back.
Yeah, Nova MS, this is really in a good situation. Going to come back in with the tank mode, but I mean, it might get crazy, yes, but even then, it's not looking like they'll get even that. There we go. One more shot will do it, but Ellis knows, he sees the writing on the wall. Actually, no, they want to commit. They want to go back in. Another Dragon Strike to come in. Already cuts off GCGG. So Cyclone Coupling already a half-baked commit. Dear. A perfect time sleep as the cap comes through. A massive stagger kill. And now Nova can snowball.
And that's really important for Nova. They're just waiting for Bubakar. But other than that, they have all 6 members now. Ellis should be respawning in a second as well. This is going to be a very, very tough defense. EMP coming online for One. They have the opportunity to double cap here. Snowball into effect.
Nice hack to come down onto Eternal, and a huge EMP onto all but GCGG. Cyclone Coupling really feeling the brunt of that one. Eternal down, Jackie down, Red Box low, barely staying alive. Ellis is also alive. Yang Yang not so lucky, and they finally finish off Red Box. 2 ticks now for Nova MS on the point, as Cyclone know that they just had the touch. Try and prolong, try and extend this, and it is indeed going to be a cap. The Snowball making up for all that lost time on A. They finish with just about a minute difference between them.
You really have to credit Crazy yesterday. Despite only killing Ellis once, who was the Bastion player, what he managed to do with the Winston twice in a row, the first time as in with the Nano Boost, get in the face of Ellis when he's using the tank form, force him to have a bad ultimate. Second time around, using the shield, running ring around the rows, playing cat and mouse there, knowing that he probably will die to Ellis, but he'll make sure that none of the rest of his teammates are gonna face that tank form. Wasting so much of the time at Ellis there, twice in a row, means the Bastion effectiveness is all but nullified. Cyclone Coupling do not get maximum value out of that pick.
Alrighty, back to it. Nova have to attack first, so they're just gonna go straight back into it. This is curious. It looks like Cyclone want to run something similar. This time they want a Sombra in the mix, but it's still the bones of the same thing. It's the Bastion, it's the Orisher. Let's go ahead and see how that last fight did end up playing out for Nova.
And it's that double kill from Eternal as well that really started to swing things out in favor of Cyclone Coupling. And I believe straight after this, it was basically a reset in terms of that entire offense and defense, just sitting Ellis back on top of that corner as well. And this was just following a pretty decent trade coming up from Nova. Again, the Nano Boost for the tank form, you'll take that trade. It's a very good one economically.
So this is a commitment to the Sombra for Cyclone Coupling. Nova MS, this is going to be a scouting Sombra, and they've already prepped themselves up to be playing against something like a Bastion here. I think the Sombra is an interesting call. I feel like there is an argument to go with the Widowmaker again.
I think they didn't want to go with the Tor because the turret doesn't do much against the fire. It just gets taken down time and time again. But you are right about the Widowmaker. However, that does mean that for Nova, if they do see the Widowmaker, they can respond to that as well. What they are going to do now is try and get a lot of value off a lot of this long-range damage. Be interesting to see what Cyclone Coupling do in response, especially Jackie.
Oh, beautiful. Excellent hack. And I suppose that's the argument for the Sombra, is it is a bit more proactive, especially against One and Bubukar, the Pharah and the Hanzo. Jackie can keep playing harassment to draw their attention away from Ellis 129. Jackie does find himself a bit too far forward though, takes a Storm Arrow to the head, but with Nexus down prior, it's a trade, so Nova aren't exactly in any hurry to move forward.
Well, you look at this A point as well. Nova MS took a long time to cap this through on the original attack phase. If they take that long again, they're not going to have a lot of time to approach B, and a double cap will have to be what they rely on, but right now, waiting for ultimates, needs a Dragon Strike to really stop that defensive positioning.
Nano Boost already out of Oyo. They're just looking to try and pile in the tank form available. That's going to be the Nano Boosted Winston on top of the Bastion. That's how they were able to deal with it last time. Really stops it from doing a whole lot. So that's one ultimate mitigated by Nova MS.
Well played by Nexus here. They get in Ellis's face. Here comes that Dragon Strike though. Needs to find a bit of value if possible.
Nice hack on One again just to keep him on the ground. This time though, Jackie's not able to find the follow-up damage. Yang Yang does get Bubukar. One in this tight, narrow space, trying to rain down rockets nearly at a barrage. Hack on Oyo. Ooh, he's going to be okay for now.
A really good usage of that supercharger as well, getting a lot of extra damage done. Nova now seeing if they can break in with the supercharger gone, EMP used.
Second nano boost out of Oyo, and he does not survive it after the fact. One as well. That rocket barrage got largely cancelled out. He's now going to go down. They just kept Nova MS in a concentrated, tight space. Yeah, the ultimates eventually came up, but Nova MS still had to fight their way out of a confined space and didn't really have the tools to do so.
And we're back to square one once again. We're back to a full reset on both sides. Cyclone Coupling get to reset Ellis into the preferred position, and Nova MS going for a bit of a change here. They want to play now with basically a 3-3 traditional tank support composition. Oyo staying on towards the Ana, and for Cyclone Coupling, waiting for the next tank form.
Ellis is only really just rejoining though, so this is not the ideal position for Cyclone Coupling, and that's to say nothing of the self-destruct from Crazy S, further disrupting their position. Nice sleep onto Ellis. He's going to be able to get back up though. No kills just yet. Jackie's low.
Oh, very low.
Gets a bit too close to the fire. One picks him off. Now they're relying solely on Jackie to be the bulk of the damage output. Yang Yang finds himself sitting duck on the point. Eternal going to lose the mech. The nano boost is out there, but it's just not getting the mileage necessary. Cyclone Coupling really struggling this time around as One picks up another and is already nearly at a full charged Graviton Surge. And that's to say nothing of the attack damage charge that he is bringing to bear right now.
There's even some staggered kills against Cyclone Coupling as well. Nova MS should be looking to double cap here, looking for any sort of advantage they can take. And for Cyclone Coupling as well, losing Ellis for free, losing your Bastion for free is not what you want on that defense. Opportunity to maybe get a good tank for them. That's how they can hold, if they can hold.
Because they want to get something out of that ultimate. Nice sleep on Jackie though. Again, harder to follow up. Nice grab out as well. Ellis is the only one not in it, and it doesn't mean anything. The rest of the team is already dying to the nano boost, to the damage, and Ellis died on the other side of that. Gong rings out, and Nova MS, so nice they did it twice, and still with just a little bit of time on the clock, a full cap out in the time bank.
The exact same method as well, more or less. Took a little bit of time to get past A, took a little bit of time to get past the Bastion, but as soon as they get on to B, they have the momentum. They have the extra picks as well, twice in a row after the transition from A to B. In that middle section, they got staggered kills against Cyclone Coupling, which really affected how Cyclone Coupling would go to defend B. Not very well is the answer, unfortunately, for them.
And it does feel like there is a slight disciplinary issue there for Cyclone Coupling. To not pull back, to not avoid sitting around that point A for too long. They lose some very late members there, and the less mobile members as well, the ones that really need to start backing up a lot earlier if you don't want to get staggered out like that. It was the likes of GCGG on the Ana.
I think it's not necessarily by choice, it's the fact that the cap came through and members are still alive, and members hadn't gone down yet. The members are going to go down late by chance, really, just by the effect of the cap going through earlier than what Cyclone Coupling had anticipated. Now the Bastion coming through from the Boo Boo car side of things. It's not going to be the Sombra or the Widowmaker coming through from the Flex. We'll be back to the Torbjorn, and you're expecting, and Cyclone Coupling are certainly expecting, that this is going to be the defense, and already with the Hanzo and the Farah ready to take that on.
It's interesting, Cyclone Coupling tend to not scout, at least not anywhere near as much as Nova MS do. And so far, it's not really impacted them. It's not cost them anything. They've saved time.
The good news is the Hanzo can use the Sonic Arrow to scout, so they got that going for them. And they've guessed correctly as well, so you want to roll the dice this time. It's got to be a natural 20.
Or a 6 or double ones. Really depends on what game you're playing. And how many sides on the dice, strictly speaking. Found a D20 in Ancient Egypt a while ago. That's exciting. But let's talk about the game. That's a lot of ultimate charge already on Boo Boo Car. And again, this is the slow build-up we tend to get out of the Hanzo and Farah.
Looking at a lot of charge on the GCGG side of things as well. Nearly on that nano boost, which is going to help out for breaking through the front lines of that defense. We are seeing a few members get towards that back line as well. The Cyclone Coupling defense is kind of in disarray right now.
Yeah, this is really awkward on the side of Nova. They're sort of rotating around a bit, but they're doing so awkwardly, and it results in Boo Boo Car getting picked off by Ellis, who finds an angle on him. Even finds Jervis with a sick headshot. Gets the turret of one as well. That's a Sonic Arrow doing it. Yang finds Oyo, and suddenly Cyclone have just cracked through very unceremoniously, causing chaos on the side of Nova MS, and then thriving off what they've sowed.
And Bastion compositions rely on formation. They need to have tanks in front. They need the Bastion well protected. A big round of change-ups now for Nova on their B point defense. And the big difference here is Cyclone Coupling have a lot more time to work with pushing into B than what Nova had pushing into B. Cyclone can afford to make a couple of mistakes here, but it doesn't look like they will. Not just yet. They got ultimates coming through, and we've seen what Jiki can do as Zafara on B point.
As weird as that is to say. But you're dead right, and Cyclone Coupling have a lot to bring to bear here. Dragon Strike first, just to separate these members.
It's already two!
Oh, yo! And the rest was separated out to the side. Jackie has a rocket barrage. They might not even need it. The Primal Rage is already big enough from Yang. They finish off Crazy S, who was out of the mech, and that mech got caught up in the roof, was not able to get anyone. Jervis down. Ellis the only counter trade, but they'll just res him straight back in. Nova MS already bleeding here, and they just keep riddling them with holes here. Cyclone Coupling, another one down. One in on the Tracer. Crazy S in on the Wrecking Ball, just to try and stall out that little bit longer. They think they know what's coming. They see the writing on the wall. It will be an additional layer of the time back with Cyclone leading in the time.
And Nova right now just need to stall. They need to buy as much time as possible. They know they're going down very soon. Boo Boo Car onto the Mei as well, trying to use the Cryo Freeze, trying to do anything to knock time off the clock.
And a res again on Ellis. All these kills, the very few ones that Nova MS are getting, are being completely and utterly mitigated thanks to that Mercy. Mercy indeed. none for Nova. Cyclone are also going to fully cap out, and with far more time to play with.
That's the thing, because we look at that first phase of attack and defense for both sides. Very comparable times on both ends as well. Going into time bank, though, at least the first round of time bank, absolutely blown out of the water. Cyclone Coupling roll through A, and then they roll through B in equally as fast of a fashion, doubling the time now in time bank against Nova MS, and then some.
And that's the thing now for Nova. To one and done. Meanwhile, Cyclone Coupling, they've got time for 3 easy fights and a cup of tea. Nova do not have that same luxury. They've been cut off from the tea trade.
And both teams, they should know what to expect here. Both teams have consistently played Bastion on defense. Both teams have consistently played Farah and Hanzo on the offense to try and counter that out. The exception being Nova MS opting for a bit more of a traditional GOATs at one stage, but right now it seems like start out with the Farah, start out with the Hanzo, see what happens, see if you can catch out Ellis again. And I'll be interested to see also if Cyclone Coupling are going to give away their Bastion as freely as they did before. Instinct would tell me no.
It's going to be tough. Nova have taken a long time to cap point A. It's been B they've capped out quickly to have got them this far. So far, it'd be hard to say if they'll get the same amount of success.
Oh, that's a lot of damage.
Yikes, the defense matrix coming in just in the nick of time. Jackie hits one rocket before he translocates back to safety.
Right now, Cyclone Coupling have all the information that they need. They know exactly what kind of offense is coming through. Indeed, they probably had predicted it anyway. And Nova MS do not have time. They don't have time on their side to get a lot of damage, and it's about 30 seconds remaining. If they're still fishing for a pick from Hanzo, they might not get anything.
It's already half of what they've got, and this is with Jackie still just playing harassment, trying to cause disarray in the back line, draw attention away from Nova MS's win conditions. And speaking of win, one going to have to get aggressive here, whether he likes it or not. Let's get some damage on Jackie. What they really need is Ellis, though. They keep the pressure on, but not enough. Take some crash healing. He's going to be just fine for now as Crazy S gets hacked out. They get Ellis, though. They've got Jackie. This is big. And they kept Crazy S alive. Even if they lose someone, they're still going to res on Jervis. And they're on the point. 6 versus 3. Cyclone Coupling have yet to get any counter trades as Yang drops. And it looks like Nova MS will be able to crack this point a lot faster than what they've done previously.
And Nova MS, they knew time was short and they played accordingly. They got down 2 important members, Ellis and Jackie. Once again, it's the important DPS. It's the Bastion going down first. Cyclone Coupling are not able to protect their Bastion player well enough, and they're going to look like holding on to these ultimates for that B defense. Nova have to try and double cap here. 30 seconds of time to work with. They got to get something done.
I mean, look, they've done it before, and they're coming up on a full Christmas tree. All 6 ultimates, if they are able to get that last little one out of Nexus. Cyclone don't quite have as much to bring to bear.
Well, they got the one important one, which is the EMP. It's the one ultimate that can shut down everybody else. Nova have to be careful with Jackie.
Yeah, you can have all your ultimates, but when you're EMP, you got no ultimates. It only gets 2 members, though. There's going to be a Dragon Strike across to separate some members. Ellis finds one, though, and one already dead. It's not a good start for Cyclone Coupling. Self-destruct from Eternal as well. Just a slam dunk it. Nail that coffin shut and bury Nova MS on the moon. Cyclone Coupling, this time they will not allow the full cap to got through for Nova MS. We will not risk another layer of time back. One way or another, it will end on this next phase.
What you do see as well for the Cyclone Coupling side is, despite only getting a couple of people in the EMP, it's enough to not be able to mitigate the extra damage coming through. Tank form used by Ellis, backed up by the supercharger of Yang. That's a lot of damage. Gets that opening pick, opens up the back as well for the self-destruct double kill, and suddenly Nova is completely out of gas on that offense. Do not complete the double cap, and like you said, we're into the sort of phase now where all Cyclone Coupling have to do is get through A and then one tick of B, and they will get Horizon.
That being said, B, very defensible. A, also very defensible. Realistically, though, if Nova give up the A cap, best result is a draw, and that is a series loss. They need to functionally full hold if they actually want to keep the reverse sweep hope alive.
That's going to be very important for this defense. Now, it's not something they've been able to do so far. That being said, Cyclone Coupling have had a lot more time to play with during that A offense so far. So with 2 minutes and 46, it's suddenly doable for Nova MS, who running the classic 3-3 goats with the Winston variety that we've seen basically every other team do on this 8 defense. The first time, actually, they're not going to be running a Bastion. Trying to throw a bit of a spanner in the works here. We'll see if Cyclone Coupling can read this play.
Oh, Cyclone Coupling are going to come out. No, they're not going out that gate. They were hanging around by
This could be bad. This could be bad for Nova MS if they get spotted. I believe they have been spotted.
I think that was at least the Diva getting scouted. Yeah, they know that this is happening. Cyclone Coupling, they just barrel towards the point. Sunny and Nova MS
already been capped.
But Eternal's just having to sit on here. They're forced Nova's hand. Nova had the barrels back towards him. Now Eternal looking to play Disrupt. Does get stunned.
Good health bars.
Blue Boo Car also hacked out. They find OEO. That's an early one. Just need a little bit more. Red Fox down at the counter trade though. Nova MS not just going to let it go away for free. Jackie takes some pain as well.
Red Fox the most important man to get down. No more healing for Cyclone Coupling, but a lot of damage still on the cards.
Ellis is still unanswered, and yeah, Jackie didn't die. Oh, sorry, Red Fox died.
Dead now.
There we go, finally goes down. Red Fox died, but Jackie wasn't getting healed up. He stayed alive. Yang Yang got some kills. Cyclone Coupling are happy to stay in this. Finally, though, a few more kills to come through for Nova. May just be about to stabilize here. Ellis has got a Dragon Strike though.
Getting Red Fox down earlier, that absolutely stabilized for them, but we're back into the action right now. Dragon Strike coming through. So far, no kills, but Nova, they need to regroup properly and they need to find something.
Cyclone have actually done a good job of keeping on the pressure without overextending themselves. Ellis has hung around this point the entire time because Nova MS were realistically still resetting, and now it's back to 6 versus 6. There's going to be a Rocket Barrage available for Jackie. Already one out with the minefields. Jackie, super low. Oh, he is going to get finished off. Yang Yang gets hacked. He can't EMP. He's going to go down as well. Crazy S did lose the mech to the minefields, but Cyclone Coupling the one struggling here. GCGG only gets the one. Nova MS are the one still on the point. Cyclone aren't really doing much to pressure the point itself.
All right, just 1 minute remaining now. Cyclone Coupling slowed down ever so slightly. The last kill into Eternal probably going to be the one to really force that retreat. Another Dragon Strike coming through, another Dragon Strike not really getting any effect. GCGG, that one pick that he did get, now has respawned, now has rejoined the team at Nova MS. This first point hold still into effect. Less than 40 seconds now.
They've got big ultimates available. Jackie's still got that Rocket Barrage, and that's about all they've got to go on here in terms of high impact tools. Valkyrie pops, they want to get onto this. One's got himself a grab. They're just watching out for the crossfire from GCGG. They finish off Eternal. Grab up in the air to finish off Jackie. Beautiful placement to catch him in that. Red Fox will look for a res, but with 4 members dead, who do you even pick? The answer is no one. He can't get anyone. He's being pressured way out, trying to pocket GCGG. Less than 10 seconds, 7 and 6 and 5, and it's looking like Cyclone Coupling will not bring a force back to bear on the point. Oh, Cyclone.
Full desperation mode now for Cyclone Coupling, looking for anything that they can get. Jackie barrage last
There
round.
it is, and it's already answered. The Coalescence was there. Boo Boo Car did go down, but Yang Yang's now finished off with that same Coalescence. Res on Jackie, but it's not like you're bringing that Rocket Barrage back. That's already gone to the winds, and Cyclone Coupling are going to get rebuffed at last. Nova MS showing that there is still some life in them, and after an absolute slog of a Horizon Lunar Colony, they keep the reverse sweep hope alive.
They only had one shot, that they only had the 1 point of defense left to go, which was that 8-point defense, and it started so slowly for them. It started so poorly for them, getting caught out on rotation, getting found out in what they were trying to do, sneaking up onto Cyclone Coupling. It just did not work out for them. And then going on to that A, they rescued it. They were able to continue defending even when it looked so poor. And for Cyclone Coupling, for the first time in the series, are going to take that loss, going to find themselves in a position where it did not work out.
That was really hard fought for Nova MS as well, and it feels like they hit a bit of a turning point there. They improved just bit by bit by bit, right up until we got into that third time bank. Not only did they get a quick cap on A that they hadn't ever quite got previously, they then also got a very significant defense on A that they hadn't got previously. It feels like they've finally come alive a bit. They've remembered, that's right, this is how we can beat Cyclone Coupling. We've done it before. Now let's see if they can continue that and maintain the momentum into map 4.
It's also on the Cyclone coupling side of things as well, where previously they had held A for 2 minutes plus. They had been able to rebuff a number of attacks, and then suddenly they gave away big picks in a row, twice in a row as well, on their first time bank phase, then also on their second time bank defense phase as well. Ellis on the Bastion getting found out, and then suddenly Cyclone coupling's defense melting, just falling by the wayside. That A-point defense on the final time bank defense phase they had, if they managed to break down the 2 minutes, if they had managed to get that hold completed onto A, this would have been their map, but it wasn't the case.
And it was really so close. I mean, it could have happened in so many particular situations, and that's why you've really got to credit Nova MS for this one, to always be able to push through no matter what the situation was. And at no point did they have a more favorable time bank. Let's not forget that. Even the first one where it was close, they were technically just barely behind after getting held out in so many different places. I mean, this has been really spectacular. The fact that this is where they've turned it around and the way in which they've done it, it shows that Nova MS do still have that caliber of the playoffs team, the finals team that they were last season.
The other thing is, when you look at how this Horizon Lunar Colony sort of unfolded as we got through the different parts of that map, and the first, you start thinking Cyclone coupling for basically the entire original attack and defense phase, and then into the first time back, that was all their map. They were in the lead the entire time. Their attacks were better, their defenses were better. Going into that final section of overtime, though, that's when things start to really fall apart. A little bit strange to see this team get into that position and then not be able to close out. But still on match point, they still do lead the series. Nova MS have given themselves the opportunity to come back, but they need to continue winning. And Cyclone coupling is still in the place where they can close out.
Yeah, Cyclone coupling did not let up the pressure on Horizon Lunar Colony, even in losing it, and I expect that to continue now on Watchpoint Gibraltar. I expect them to continue to keep that pressure on. The question now will be, much as they did in the closing phases of Horizon Lunar Colony, will Nova MS continue to withstand that pressure?
Yeah, so Nova MS still got a lot of work to do. Cyclone coupling now have to at least start considering... They still have to start considering the Nova MS side of things, because you could start to feel like Cyclone coupling had a lot of confidence there, which is definitely well-deserved, but also in this case, a lot of respect has to be given back to the fact that they put themselves in a position where realistically they should have won Horizon. They could have been in a draw scenario as well, where they would have been guaranteed that win, even if we got that draw, but none of those things actually happened. Nova, against all odds, were able to complete on Watchpoint Gibraltar, though. I do dare to say it's going to be an entirely different kettle of fish. This is where the flexibility of both teams will be entirely tested. A lot of different things we can see here on this map.
And really, it's going to be somewhat reminiscent of Blizzard World. That's the other thing as well. You've got quite similar map geography in certain ways. You've got some bigger, more open spaces. You've got potential for things like Farah. You've also got places where we do see some Widowmaker, some Sombra, basically a whole lot of things that both of these teams have willingly run so far. So the real question is going to be, what on earth are both these teams going to play?
Double Sniper's been a bit of a staple for a lot of teams on Watchpoint Gibraltar so far, and Ash adding herself into the ranks of snipers in this current meta and on this current patch 1.32 as well. We'll see who will actually be defending first. Cyclone coupling, Alice staying on that sniper pick, Jackie back on the Hanzo as well. For Nova, once they do see this, do they like to respond with something like a Widowmaker, or is it going to be the 3-and-3 goats to carry them through?
They've got some options, and they've also got the ability to go back to spawn. That's the really critical thing here. I'm curious to see how much of an impact Ellis has on the Ashe as well. We've seen pretty mixed bag results from Ashes so far.
What we do see so far is Nova do scout out the composition. They do now see what the defense consists of. How do they want to approach Nexus, super low and super dead?
Yeah, that's the difference between doing that against goats and doing that against double sniper. You take so much more damage early on as the Winston, and Nexus ends up paying for it.
What you do want to see is the ult charge now. Ellis has a lot of it. Bob's coming up soon, and for Nova, not much to look at. Still stuck in spawn for the most part, not really able to get the cart through to the underpass.
Good move out by Ellis with the coach gun, able to stay safe as Nova MS nearly had the drop of them in the rotation, and they're able to demech Crazy S. The only thing is Cyclone Coupling don't really want to get too up close and personal. So this is a good position for Nova MS. Unfortunately, losing Oyo makes it a much worse position. Straight back as they're on Yang Yang, they're going to toss Barb in because that is something you can do in those confined spaces. That's really going to help the forward pressure as they raise up Yang Yang as well. They're just keeping Nova MS stuck in this underpass.
They trade half a player for a real player there. Dragon Strike will be coming up next right now. Nova need to dodge that one if they want to live.
Tried to catch them in the backside, at least separates them from the payload, forces Nexus to come up and around onto some high ground where he eventually meets his doom, as does Crazy S. So now Nova MS, after losing a good 30 seconds in that underpass, have to flag a bit of a retreat. Good counter trade on Jackie though.
That's one they can't res just yet either. Cyclone Coupling now still do have a Transcendence available. Does get a res in eventually, so back to full strength. And that's not good news for Nova at the moment.
It is a little bit of a touch and go position though. You see Jackie's only really just made it back. In fact, will not actually continue to make it back alive. Neither does Red Fox. So that res ends up costing Cyclone Coupling, and good aggression from Nova MS to not let that happen for free. Yang Yang pops a Primal Rage. They've decided to commit in spite of the ultimate disadvantage. And the fact that those support ultimates did nothing for them, and with Ellis down, Cyclone Coupling rather just have to cede this point.
And really important now for Cyclone Coupling to try and get some of these ults out of Nova. They have a lot for to speak of. CYC now changing up. Ellis going onto the Zarya, and GG down.
Yeah, really good aggression again from Nova MS. Cyclone Coupling, you sort of think, how far are we going to have to retreat before we're safe? Nova MS give them no quarter.
And the most important part is Nova have started to push on to B without using anything just yet. CYC now only just barely regrouped as the cart makes its way nearly halfway on B.
Cyclone Coupling, when will they find their beat again? Had to swap to a 3-3 of their own. That starts them from ground zero. Self-destruct forward. Not really that great. Nova MS can just kind of walk past it and ignore it as they get aggressive. Nice trap on Yang Yang. He's going to stay alive rather, but Jackie not so lucky. Nexus with the Primal Rage, just keeping everyone in disarray for the time being as they finish off Yang Yang at last, and Eternal as well. And again, Cyclone Coupling going to cop a tough loss on the chin. Nova MS going to cap.
And Cyclone Coupling just never allowed to feel comfortable here. Nova MS consistently pushing, getting in the faces, still haven't stopped their momentum so far. Looking for some spawn kills, looking to spawn trade, and Ellis goes down. Cyclone Coupling in such a bad spot.
This is absolutely brilliant from Nova MS. What Cyclone Coupling do to them, they do back double. They are keeping on the pressure, and it is absolutely causing Cyclone to crumble.
And guess what? After capping A, Nova MS out on 4 ultimates. Now after capping B, still on 4 ultimates.
One's a little bit caught there. Didn't need to be that far forward. And that's going to cost Nova MS a significant amount of space, actually. They hadn't exactly moved the payload a whole lot.
And that's the first sign of slowdown for Nova MS on this B to C point transition so far. One was looking for a sort of sneaky flank to get a good grab in there and got caught out himself. Now Cyclone Coupling have started to get some of their own ults in. Grab does go in.
There we go, throwing it forward. Self-destruct layered on top. Does not quite bind anybody.
Grab.
Yep, now the next one, Yang Yang goes down, so Cyclone already going to have a bit of a harder time following this one up. You see Eternal getting pressured out as well. Isolated is going to get demexed and finished off. That means Nova MS maintain a numbers advantage as they repossess the cards.
Card is moving again, very importantly. Cyclone Coupling still stuck in their base. They've been in this position before. They just need to make sure they don't lose any opponent members. Regroup now, trying to get a few more ultimates in there. Still does have a sound barrier. That's one advantage they have over the other side.
As they start to approach the terminus, Nova MS, not many ultimates here just yet, but nearly coming up to some. Cyclone Coupling is still struggling a little bit. Even Stevens for now. Ooh, big pick on Nexus. And that's with the sound barrier committed from Jervis. No self... Oh, sorry, no Earth Shadow I was going to say, but I got distracted by the self-destruct that kills Jervis, and that means Nova MS are at long last going to be properly rebuffed from the card.
And both teams managed to save the Graviton Surge there. Both teams managed to save the Earth Shatter as well. Does go in the favor of Cyclone Coupling though, kind of last minute. If they had lost that fight, likely Nova MS wouldn't have capped. That's been the first proper fight loss that Nova MS have kind of suffered in the past couple of fights in a row. For Cyclone Coupling, a good opportunity to really dig their feet into the ground.
There's going to be the first grab of 2 in this fight. That is if one does choose to commit his. There it is, laid out. Transcendence in on the side. Earth Shatter trying to stop follow up. Crazy S gets 2. Does die before he can remech, but you will gladly make that trade in this instance as the rest of Cyclone start to feel the pain. The cart moving back once again, and Nova still have ultimates to burn.
And this is where it gets really difficult. Cyclone Coupling just has the rally to play with. Members trying to get on point.
And they're already on their backs on that point. Jackie gets charged out. GCGG was picked off on the other side of that. Nova MS still getting kills. D-Mech Eternal looking to finish him off, looking to find Yang Yang. They're going to get them all and the bag of chips. And that's Nova MS getting a full cap out, 142 on the clock as well.
A little bit of slowdown onto C, a little bit of slowdown at the beginning of A as well, but other than that, it was pretty quick. Coming through for Nova MS, they seemed to be in control even when they were losing, even when Cyclone Coupling were kind of turning things back around. Nova were not to be deterred. It seemed almost inevitable that they were going to cap eventually. A lot of questions need to be answered, specifically on that B-point defense. Cyclone Coupling were all but absent.
And this is looking seriously like it might be our first full 5 series of this season. It is only day 2, mind you. On the whole, it was a solid offense from Nova MS. Can they follow it up with a good defense? They are looking rejuvenated, refreshed, and reinvigorated, and like they want a reverse sweep.
What we can say about Cyclone Coupling is their offenses have been pretty stellar so far. Even looking back at Horizon Lunar Colony, consistent double caps, very quick takes onto A as well. There's one area where they can feel quite confident about is in how they cap these maps, and you would expect this one to go to time bank.
Alrighty, Nova MS on a 3-3. Cyclone Coupling probably going to run the same thing. Yang Yang might just stick on this to get an early pick if possible, and if not, he will probably go ahead and swap over onto himself either a Winston or a Reinhardt.
I think with Cyclone as well, they always do have the options when they do complete the scouting. If they realize it is just going to be the 3-3 goats, they may decide they don't want to play the mirror into that. If they do, it'll be interesting because so far these teams have at many points opted not to play the mirror against each other, but so far this looks like they might do.
Well, just a commitment. This is I mean, it's the most standard, arguably, out of both of these teams so far in this matchup. So let's see who is able to better of this in the flat 3-3 versus 3-3.
So eyes on the ult charge here. That's going to be the most important thing until teams really start to commit into each other. Nexus going to be sitting at 20%. Its counterpart roughly about the same. No one's really getting too far ahead just yet.
And that's very crucial. As soon as someone starts stripping ahead, it's actually Alice who now takes a lead over 1, and a big lead to boot, about 20%. That's going to be hugely important, and Nova MS feel that difference. They do charge back up and keep pace, but they've had to cede some ground.
So HP difference as well. Craziest is on half, which means Nova can't get aggressive, which means Cyclone Coupling do sense the weakness. They want to look for some first kill here, and if they do, it's going to put them ahead.
GCGG is close to a Transcendence as well. Oyo is 2. There's the first grab. It's actually 1 who gets it. They don't get much in terms of follow-up. That's a very early Transcendence out of Oyo. Maybe a bit too early. There was nothing really being thrown out just yet. And now there is. Where's the response? Jervis has a sound barrier. That's going to have to keep them safe. Oyo is struggling, though, as the sound barrier on
red no Primal.
Keeps the aggression on. And like you said, dying with Primal is a heartbreaker for Nexus as Nova MS get deconstructed on this point. Good patience out of Cyclone Cup. Coupling able to break through Nova MS pretty unceremoniously, all things considered.
And it comes down to support ult timing here as well. You notice that once OYO used, GCGG already had the counter as well, but Red Fox using just slightly after Jervis gives Cyclone Coupling the longevity to continue staying on in that fight. It felt like Cyclone Coupling had the lead anyway, the HP lead to start with. Nova got the first grab, but could not convert off it.
Now moving into the hangar. This is where Nova MS moved very far forward, got some extra kills, and kept momentum on their side. Cyclone Coupling haven't quite done the same thing just yet. Instead, there's going to be a bit of a brawl in the middle of the hangar, especially up around the spacecraft here. Self-destruct laid in a very confined space. Cyclone by the chunk! And a double off the self-destruct. And it was already things going sour. Gong rings out. They didn't get the huge possession of ground early, but they'll still get a massive fight win.
And Nexus does use the Primal this time, but it just means he stays long enough to see the rest of his team fall over, all 5 other members. And for Cyclone Coupling, perfect execution. Graviton Surge inside the spaceship with the self-destruct, with the cleave damage, about to reach the end of B.
There is time for this one last contest though from Nova, and they've got a lot of tools to bring to bear. The grab,
no grab,
caught up by Eternal, nicely done. And that's really going to hurt Nova. They do still have defensive ultimates and a self-destruct. Yang Yang sitting on a primal though. Self-destruct layered up, does not find anyone just yet. Yang Yang low. In spite of the primal rages, Eternal gets finished off. Nova MS look like they are finally beating back the tide here. They were able to dig just deep enough and have forced Cyclone Coupling at least to reset.
That's that one pick onto Eternals mech that really puts things out of whack. Cyclone Coupling losing Jackie late as well is going to cost him a bit of time, and it's giving that time over to Nova MS to re-secure defensive positioning, but it is a difficult place to be. The card is nearly at the end of B, and this has been the first stoppage for Cyclone Coupling so far. You've got to consider A was very smooth, B not so much so far, but they have the tools to get back into it.
Nova MS charging some critical ultimates back up here as well, coming into a... Well, there it is, a Graviton Surge, largely responded to by the sound barrier, but it's not quite enough, and the counter grab from one, no follow-up at all. Crazy S finds himself another. Cyclone Coupling continuing to get forced back. That's with Eternal committing a self-destruct as well. That was the ideal fight for Nova MS.
And both teams had the right moves there. It's Graviton Surge being countered by the sound barrier, but what happened was the aftermath of that fight was Nova getting the kills. Crazy S finding 2. Cyclone getting rebuffed again, about 2 minutes now remaining. Nova MS still have 4 ultimates. Cyclone Coupling coming up to about maybe 3 once Yang Yang gets the primal. Not really an ideal place to be at this stage in the game.
This is where Nova MS have really anchored themselves in nice defense. A couple of fight wins in a row and looking poised to win another.
Really looking at how Nexus wants to approach this one as well.
Rally from Jackie, already Arbor chewed straight through. Pressure on these members. They charge up some ultimates, but they're going to have to get a lot out of them. Nexus, early committal to Primal Rage. Yang Yang's chosen to respond now. Just 2 teams kind of throwing things at one another, neither the better for it.
And who's going to get the ultimate forces? Or Transcendence finally being used by GCGG, which means OU can hold and respond to this just a little bit later, giving advantage over to Nova.
Oh, and they still get the kill on Jackie in spite of that Transcendence. That's really impactful. And again, Nova MS, they've just kind of seen through the worst of it. Now even if Ellis does commit a grab, which realistically he shouldn't, OYO's got a Transcendence where GCGG does not.
And the problem is, because that Transcendence is alive on one side and not the other one, Graviton Surges are available for both sides as well. You don't have a Transcendence to counter one of the grabs, Nova MS, so they do have double support ultimates to counter everything that Cyclone Coupling want to do right now.
Very, very critical. Nova MS have just been able to retain the ideal ultimates in every single situation. For the last 3 fights, I said at the beginning of the last one they were poised to win another. They did, and I will say again, they are poised to win this fight based on resources alone. There's the grab, self-destruct forward. It's not really in a great spot. They're just not going to get anything for it, unfortunately, but they still found Jackie with the extra damage in the grab. Ellis has to go at the full retreat, and already Cyclone Coupling have copped another loss with less than 30 seconds to go.
There's been no force in the support ultimates. Jervis and OYO just holding on to those with an iron grip. Ellis is going to eventually have to throw out that Graviton Surge, 15 seconds remaining, and it's not going to be a very good grab considering double support ultimates still available. Nova have all the options. Cyclone Coupling just looking really bad.
And even if that's not enough, even if those support ultimates are all blowing and things go ideally for Cyclone Coupling, there's going to be that Primal Rage for Nexus. And there it is, self-destructed from Eternal. Oh dear, that's bad news, Bears for Nova. The self-destruct mech just dropped down when they thought they were already in the clear. One counter trade, but Crazy S loses the mech. Ellis finds Car, and Cyclone Coupling had managed to break it through off the back of what is honestly a very sneaky self-destruct.
And the worst possible member to go down there as well. Jervis had the sound barrier. Oyo, the Transcendence, doesn't counter the self-destruct. So Cyclone Coupling,
they've been able to respawn. They've got just enough here. 4 members with a sound barrier, but it's still a functional 4 versus 6 as the last 2 try and come in now. Nexus super low, will go down as does Jervis. Oyo, Transcendence not quite enough. And the cap is almost certain to go through. 0.01 meters as well. It's pretty tight for a late contest. A gong to ring out, a Cyclone Coupling barely keep it alive.
The big problem there is because Nova Esports did commit a sound barrier, they do have one less option to play with. The big question is, can Cyclone Coupling get a lot of momentum pushing into C? They need to complete this map to get into the time bank. You'd like to think they can do so, but Nova coming up to their own Graviton Surge pretty soon.
And also Nova, if they fully win this one out, they do actually take it to that tiebreaker. They really do threaten that reverse sweep. Cyclone, they got a lot to play for here. Self-destruct layered forward on top of the grab. As the Transcendence runs out, it's enough to find Jervis. That's one, that's an opening. But they get the exact same in response with their own grab self-destruct combo. Yang down and out for the count, lacking in Oyo as well as Nova MS. Closer respawns, but losing a lot of members. Eternal down has tipped the balance here for Nova, who, with those closer respawns, oh dear, one takes a stun, and that might mean he is done. He is indeed, and suddenly Cyclone are back on the attack.
And that's because Red Fox does rejoin the team a little bit quicker, and she can use the speed boost to get Cyclone Coupling into action. Nova MS now completely drained of ultimates. Nexus nearly on the Earth Shatter, going to be extremely important. They're going to break out of their base ASAP.
20 seconds less than. This is the last hurrah for both of these teams here on Gibraltar. Either it's a time bank or it's a tiebreaker. At any rate, it's going the way of Nova. It's going the way of the tiebreaker. The Earth Shatter was well and truly enough as they drill down the rest of the members. No time to get back on that payload as the overtime bar disappears unceremoniously. We are going to a map 5.
And this is the 2 teams that we thought would be able to take us there. 2 very evenly matched teams. First 2 maps of this evening in the series. You'd like to think Cyclone Coupling probably closed this one out 3-0, 3-1, something along those lines. But across the last 2 maps, Nova MS have really been waking up, and we are going to see our first map 5 tiebreaker of the entire season.
This is where it does get a little bit tricky though. Nova MS on the cusp of completing a reverse sweep. Cyclone Coupling, who have been so close, feel like they're actually slipping further and further away. Watchpoint Gibraltar felt a little bit less competitive than Horizon Lunar Colony did. Indeed, at least on Horizon Lunar Colony, Cyclone Coupling were leading in time going into every single time bank until, unfortunately, in the last one, it wasn't enough for them to get it through. Watchpoint Gibraltar, they didn't even finish the map compared to the nearly 2 minutes that Nova MS had in the time bank. That being said, Cyclone did win Nepal, and we now go back to control. But we are going to be going back to control after a short break. So do stick around because we have yet to resolve this nail-biter of a series. See you on the other side.
Welcome back, everyone, to the tiebreaker here for our final match of the week in Overwatch Contenders Pacific Season 1. It is, of course, between Cyclone Coupling and Nova MS. 2-2 aside now. We had 2 in the first half of this match, 2 on the other side for Nova MS coming through. And it might be a reverse sweep, or it might be Cyclone Coupling crushing the dreams or crushing that hope of coming back for Nova.
That's the thing, right? Like, Cyclone Coupling, they were off to such a good start. I mentioned just before we went to the break that Horizon Lunar Colony felt like the turning point where it was the last time they ever seemed like they were ahead and even went on to lose it. However, they did still win that control, and that could mean they still clinch this series.
Certainly momentum is going in the favor of Nova MS, you could probably say here as well. It's been better and better maps. Horizon was very contentious, could have gone either way. You might even say Cyclone Coupling definitely had the lead for the most part, kind of gave that one over to Nova MS, but Gibraltar was basically all Nova MS for most of that map. I mean, it started out, again, quite well on the attack for Cyclone Coupling, but once we got to that B point, they lost so much time, they didn't have enough on C to complete it. So going onto Oasis now, with a little bit of a break after Gibraltar, which team has reset mentally to get ready for this tiebreaker?
And I do love me some Oasis. Nice to be here. Nice to be back here, I suppose. And also, given that this is this week's tiebreaker, nice to be here so quickly. We, sometimes we'll go weeks with no tiebreakers. Last season, we had like a full 5 series, seemingly every other game. But this has been our first one this season, which really is just a testament to how evenly matched these teams are.
I think this was always, when you look at these two teams, you consider where they were last season as well. Of course, our semi-finalists. This was always going to be quite tight. It's going to be Ellis onto the Sombra again. Nova going to be sticking to the 3-3 goats.
It's just that slight variation on the side of Cyclone Coupling. They also do have a Reinhardt over Nova MS's Winston, so Nova MS are really looking for an early lead, first of all, before the Earth Shatter is available, and also before the EMP is available.
Hackers onto Nexus so far, and a stun onto Bubukar. Should be opportunity for Cyclone.
And that means Nexus gets finished off soon thereafter. Yang Yang does go down in a counter trade, but it's not really enough to mean anything for the side of Nova MS, who are just going to get mostly wiped.
And an insane amount of ult charge as well, 86% now for Alice, as we're about to head into the next fight here. We do have a lot of progress going forward as well. Nova going to struggle to get the recap if they cannot get past the EMP.
I'm out of here.
Making that swap, it's going to make things slow. Yang Yang doesn't have too much of a lead though. 30%, certainly recoverable. 1 or 2 good fire strikes are leaving that one up.
Oh wow, you're stunned out, Ellis, shut down.
That's really, really big. Nexus does still go down though, speaking of stuns, and that's Oyo as well getting picked. So Nova MS shutting down that really big impact ultimate was so critical, but they didn't get anything beyond that, and Cyclone Coupling still walk away with the fight, and they've still got more ultimates they're rotating into anyway.
Both Brigida players on both sides making such huge moves. Getting Ellis shut down meant that, well, Cyclone Coupling, that could have been a very poor fight, but Jackie finds the counter trade. A big notice thing here is JCGG does have a Transcendence, but Oyo is playing Ana because there's no Diva on the Cyclone Coupling side. You don't have that big defensive ultimate though. Here comes the grab.
Absolutely beautiful. A nicely placed biotic grenade from Oyo, but it's not enough to keep the team alive. That is how you have a high impact ultimate. That is how you take a low economy fight win.
The big problem is, once that Graviton Surge comes through, you have a sound barrier, but you don't have a Transcendence, and a Bionade is certainly not a good enough alternative for that Transcendence, which DCGG still does have. 60% and counting up now for the second EMP of the game, and Cyclone Coupling are still in control.
This is when Nova MS should come into a favorable fight though, despite those defensive ultimates. They've got enough tools that they should be able to force both out and still have something to go on. There's going to be that grab that should get the Transcendence out. Indeed it does. Counter Shatter from Yang Yang as well. Committed but not getting much. There's double sound barriers. Nanabu still on the cards, and the Earth Shatter as well is enough to get on top of Eternal. They finish off Yang Yang. Nice EMP, but no follow-up just yet. Crazy yes, ooh, super low, loses the mech. Bubukar picked as well. The nano boost on Nexus is not enough for him to get the damage out, net some kills. And Nova, again, just then getting slowly but surely repelled. Now Nexus down, Jervis nearly got one, but instead goes down, and Cyclone Coupling going to steer themselves clear to get a 100-0 shutout on Gardens.
This is where the composition works so well for Cyclone Coupling on so many levels. Yang starting out onto the Ryan, Nexus starting out of the Winston, which means Nexus always going to be behind in the ult charge battle against his counterpart. You also do have the EMP, despite not being effective in the first usage, still netted Cyclone Coupling a fight win, even when the Transcendence came through on the counter grab against Wan's Graviton Surge. You do have Oyo with the Ana. The Bionet could not be used because he was hacked out. Perfect timing by Alice.
And now Nova, for all the work they have done to get themselves to this point, are suddenly once again with their backs against the wall. I suppose that's no change to what they've had for the last two maps in this series, but this time they do not have a lead. They must win City Center.
Nova are going to rely on the 3-3 goats again, the Winston variety. Cyclone Coupling, the Sombra has been working, and Jackie, he's been working out on the Pharah as well.
For the most part, yes, and this is a very open space. Makes it that little bit harder for Nova. Hack on Nexus, nicely placed. He takes some bullets. Going to be just fine for now.
That's been how they get the early pick so far. This time, though, going over to Bubukar.
That's super important. It does mean that Red Fox will have to take his attention away from Jackie for once the res. That should be a window for Nova MS, but they've actually failed to execute on it, and instead Yang able to get aggressive enough to finish off Bubukar without even getting punished for it. One was not able to get that extra damage in. Trades one back on Red Fox, but it doesn't matter. Cyclone Coupling, they've got through the worst of it. They're going to take the fight win, and they've already got the point cap.
Look at the low HP bars of Cyclone Coupling. Alice was on 1, Yang's currently on 1, and Jackie nearly went down as well. Nova was so close to finishing everyone off. Red Fox going down meant that no one had the health and the healing to play with, and yet they win the fight. They get the team wipe, they get the cap, and they take the lead.
It's the difference between getting kills and not, I suppose. It doesn't matter how much damage you do, how many bullets you land. That final bullet is the most important one. Now Nova, very little to go on here. Only coming up on a Primal Rage. And Cyclone Coupling, with everything, they get 5 with that EMP. They get 2 with that Rocket Barrage, plus Crazy S's mech. Jackie does go down for it, but he has already done the work. And that's another fight win for Cyclone Coupling, with still so many ultimates at their disposal.
Even the res to come through as well. In fact, if they didn't want to res, Jackie probably has enough time to respawn and get back to his team. And for Cyclone Coupling, just consistently in control. This has been entirely one-sided. Nova MS are climbing up to ultimates. Oyo swapping onto the Moira as well. But is it too little, too late? It's 60% and counting up for Cyclone Coupling.
This is about as dire as it gets for this team that has come so close to completing a reverse sweep, and now staring down the barrel of falling just short. They've already committed a Primal Rage. Eternal gonna have to use a self-destruct to preserve the smack. Didn't. Oh no, he did just barely get it off in time. It's looking a bit dicey. Red Fox is low.
That, by the way, was the final defense against the Graviton Surge. One has to make the play now. If he can land a good grab, they can find a team wipe.
Eternal is demexed once again, so they have that opportunity. The Primal Rage on Yang has run out. There's still an EMP Rocket Barrage combo, though. Nova MS needs to respect it. They find Red Fox. They're finally breaking through. They'll finish off Yang here if he's not careful. Indeed, one has enough charge, enough damage that they will finally get some presence on the point.
Well, Cyclone Coupling do get us the 99%, knowing that they were probably going to lose the fight after a couple members went down, notably Red Fox. Don't need to throw on the extra ultimates, just want to back out with as many members as they can. A lot of time now to work with to get that one fight win, but they got to get past the Graviton Surge, and there's no Transcendence available for Cyclone Coupling.
Nova, so little to work with, and it's one fight territory.
Oyo's low.
Coalescence coming up soon. There's going to be the EMP, only gets 2. Oyo's going to commit himself a Coalescence. Rock Barrage gets Jervis and Crazy S's mech. That's going to be enough to open things out, but good counter trade. Yang plus Eternal's mech. That is very high impact. Still a grab being held on to by one. They're only really committed to the ground, though.
And one nearly went down there. If he did, the game's probably over. Because he survives, he can use it.
There we go. They finish off Ellis, and they trap in Eternal as well. They don't actually get Eternal out of the mech on that one. That's a bit of a tough break, and they lose Nexus. Jervis low gets popped off. Suddenly, Nova have very little left to use. Bumukar's low. Res on Ellis to keep him in the fight. Jackie's close to another rocket barrage. Here it is, and Yang Yang's got a primal rage. He's buffeting these backliners about. Crazy S goes down. The self-destruct got nothing. The rocket barrage got Oyo, and suddenly Cyclone Coupling have turned it back around. 99% as they recap. The Nova have anything left to go on. The overtime ticking down. Bumukar will get one, but it will all be for nothing as Cyclone Coupling finally clinched the series, having been at match point the last 2 games.
And it's like the other maps did not even matter. It's like we didn't go to Horizon, we did not go to Watchpoint Gibraltar. This was about as decisive as Nepal looked right at the beginning of this match. That first opening map was a 2-0, a lot of shutout moments here. Onto Oasis, another 2-0, very much a shutout performance. And for Cyclone Coupling, a massively deserved win. Nova MS, for as good as they looked on 2 of the maps they won, they looked pretty lost on this one.
Tell you where those 2 maps in the middle do count, though, and that's going to be in the score. The map differential will have an impact, especially on teams like this that are really looking to push into those top 2 spots ideally. That one difference in map, even for Cyclone Coupling, is the difference between making it into the 1st and 2nd place finish or just barely falling short and ending up in 3rd, not getting that advanced seed into the semi-finals when we do get to playoffs.
Such a close series, though, could have still gone either way. Nova MS are going to be a little bit upset about the way